Okay, thanks for joining us once again. Back to our second part of our painting here, second stage. Got a fair bit done in that first segment, so we're just going to continue on. I'm just going to grab a 2-inch brush here. So we're pretty well halfway down the painting. We don't have to touch that there too much anymore, so I'm going to slip in straight into some darks here. And we're just going to get some big old darks happening in the painting here. This will bring it together very quickly. Darker down the bottom. Might even have a little bit of a waterfall on the front. We'll see how we go for time. It's all more fun, as many as we can get in. Everyone can learn a little bit more then. There we go. So if you're following us, I hope you're keeping up. Don't forget we're using these great product, the soluble water paints, the W oils. It comes with a lot of other stuff too, like your terpenoid natural and that, where you don't have to use terps anymore for cleaning up. What I actually like about this paint is you can actually mix it in with your traditional oils or acrylic, up to 25%, and it will still wash out in water. So you don't even have to throw your old paints away. Mix them in with the new one. All washes out in water, nice and safe. Here we go, we're going to get a little bit of green happening in here. In a few places, haven't cleaned the brush. No need to. Get that little bit of white light there, just that little bit of light just helping us, giving that bit of a smoky effect. If anything, we could probably put a little bit more in. I'm just going to come down here with this green just to mix it up. We're going to throw a few rocks and everything in here shortly, and we'll get a little bit of light on some of that green as well. So it's taking our eye in towards the centre, just the way even we're rolling that brush there. There we go. So I'll just put that aside. A little bit of yellow ochre on here as well. We'll just spread that out. Just a few highlights on our painting. Actually, we might even go a bit lighter than that. We'll use this one here. This one's already been tinted, so we'll spread that out. And we're just going to use a round brush, so we can use that pink one. Doesn't matter. And just a little tiny highlights on this in places, just in places up there on the top edges where your light, you know your light's going to be hitting it. So put them in and don't leave it like that. Always come down a little bit so it's coming around, the light hitting over the top of the ridge there. It all creates the effect that we're after. Just, it might be just a difference in colour and creates that effect we're looking for. Okay, before we go any further, I'm going to put in some rocks here. I might even use my big round knife that I have sometimes for our rocks. We've used that one before, so we can get in some nice darks in here. And down there as well. So we're just mixing that burnt umber and the black together just to get a little bit darker. Bit in there as well. And got that dark happening right down the bottom there. A few darks here and there. Just get rid of that on the tissue. Now the best way to handle this, I found, is to just get some lights on there straight away. So pick up a little bit of our yellow ochre. I'm going to mix a little bit of that with our brown, which our orange, I'm sorry, and we're making a very, very light brown or orange here. We can pick up a little bit of that too, just to darken it just a bit more. Paint on the hand. And talking about paint on your hand, that's another thing you don't have to worry about with these paints, is worry about getting your clothes ruined anymore. Just grab a tissue and wipe it off with a bit of water. Fantastic. You don't want to be doing that with terps. Okay, so we've got a little bit of light coming through here, just hitting some of these rocks. And so this is right up in the foreground now. So we got that, created that effect of the distance. I can even play with that and make it go back a little bit more. We'll see how we go for time. See if we can push that waterfall back just a little bit more. And we need a bit of light on there, so I'm going to go straight into this, which is our Evolution Violet colour, and get a little bit of light on there, maybe even a little bit more white on there as well. Just a few highlights on those rocks. Make them look interesting, don't get all the shapes the same. Always a bad mistake is creating things the same shape or the same effect with a knife or a brush. So it's always a good idea to experiment with your brushes and your tools and have a bit of a play around. See what effects you can get. Okay, we're just going to pat that down a little bit. Now I can do this a few ways. Probably a fan brush is probably the best, I find, just to take that sting out of it a little bit because we don't want it too in your face. That back in there is a little bit too dominant, so we can just pat that down a little, make it look like a rock going down there, up there just a little bit, lay in a few colours, that's it. Here we go. Just got the effect there of that little bit of a ridge happening. And we'll leave that there. Don't know what it is, but it looks all right. Okay, just going to pick up our 1-inch brush once again. This time we're going with a little bit of green, and we're just going to pick up a few of those spots that are in between those rocks. Okay, just mix it up just a little bit. Smaller brush, seeing as I just dirtied that one, and we can go over the top of those. So I'm using a smaller brush but in the foreground, so I'll just spread it out a bit. That's the best way. Actually, that's not working too well for me. I might use this bigger one. If it doesn't work, fix it, change it. Okay. Still don't like that. We'll just pat it down with a tissue. So there's no such thing as a mistake here. It's just a matter of getting it the way you want it. So we can just pat that down a little bit. A little bit of green in here as well under that rock there. Use your tissue. Try anything. Tissue is great, gives it a real erratic effect, like almost a natural effect on some things. Tissue, a bit of old dishcloth. Experiment, that's the secret. Okay, so we've got a bit of a rocky face thing happening here. We might just put a little bit of violet in there in those rocks as well. And the shade side needs to be a bit darker. Just coming up to the next break. Actually, we're going well here. This is going to come alive. We'll have time to put the birds in. We'll have another waterfall on the front. A little bit of violet in there makes all the difference. See it in the painting? So if you can get it in the rock somewhere, it's in the painting, it's got to be in there somewhere. Okay, we might just pat that down. Just about ready for a break. So we can actually, before I do, I might just soften that up. See if we can just take the sting out of that waterfall just a little bit before we have our break. And just fade it out just a little bit more there. There we go. That's pushed it back a little bit. Okay, coming back for our third segment. Thanks for keeping up with us. I hope you are, and having a bit of fun with it as well. We'll come back and finish it off shortly. We'll see you then.